Let's look at some cool chess tricks to win the game. Here's the first one. The game starts with e4, e5, knight f3. White attacks the pawn and black defends with f6. But that's a mistake because white can now shock black with knight takes e5, sacrificing his knight. If black takes the knight, then he's losing quickly to queen h5 check. If black tries to block the check with g6, then white is going to capture the e5 pawn with a check and a fork attack on black's pieces. Black blocks the check and now this rook is gone. White is up in material and this should be an easy win for white. So let's go back. That is why here black might not try to block the check with g6, but instead he might just move his king to the e7 square. So black plays king to e7 and now white can play queen takes e5 check. King moves to the only square f7 and now bishop c4 check. King moves to g6 and now queen f5 check. King goes to the only square, that is h6, and now d4 reveals a discovered attack by the bishop. White blocks the check with g5 and now white plays h4 attacking this pawn one more time. Black plays bishop to e7 but it doesn't help because white can now play h takes g5 check. It's a double attack on the black's king. King moves to g7 and now queen f7 is a checkmate. Here is another one in the English opening. Game starts with c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, g6, and now white plays d4 in order to attack the center. Black captures the pawn and now knight moves to the d5 square. Since black's pawn is double attacked by white's pieces, that is why black plays bishop to g7, fianchettoing his bishop on the long diagonal as well as providing defense to this pawn. But here white plays bishop to g5, attacking black's queen. And here black plays knight g to e7, which makes sense because you're preparing to castle as well as blocking this attack. But since this knight is double attacked by white's pieces, and this knight over here is overloaded with the defensive job of protecting this knight as well as this pawn, that is why white plays a beautiful tactic by capturing this d4 pawn. So white plays knight takes d4. Notice black cannot capture this pawn with his knight. Otherwise, he quickly loses his queen to bishop takes e7, queen takes e7 and now knight takes e7, king takes knight and now black is terribly down in material. So let's go back. That is why in this situation, black might not capture this knight with his knight, but rather he will capture the knight with his bishop. So he might play bishop takes d4. But that's a mistake again because now you can play the sneaky queen takes d4. You can offer your queen for sacrifice, and if black doesn't calculate well, then he might just get excited and capture your queen back, which in that case he loses quickly to knight f6 check. King moves to f8 and now bishop h6 is a beautiful checkmate. Let's go back. Therefore, here in this situation, if your opponent is smart enough and ignores this queen capture and rather castles his king, then even in that case he loses because now you can play knight f6 check. King moves to h8 and now knight g4 check. It's a discovered check from this queen. If black captures the queen, then white can finish off the game with bishop f6 check, king moves to g8 and now knight h6 is a checkmate. Let's go back. Therefore, black will try to block this check with the move f6. But in that case, you can simply capture this pawn with your bishop and check black's king one more time. Rook will capture this bishop and now queen takes f6 check, king moves to g8 and now knight h6 is a beautiful checkmate. Game starts with e4, e5, knight f3 attacks the pawn, knight c6 protects the pawn and now bishop c4 eyeing the weak f7 pawn and now black plays knight to d4. Offering to exchange knights, but white here simply captures the undefended e5 pawn and double attacks the weak f7 pawn. White is very happy here, but black can shock white with the move queen to g5, forking white's pieces. And here white needs to be careful because if he makes the mistake of capturing the f7 pawn with his knight, thinking that he's forking now black's pieces, then black can quickly finish off white's game with queen takes g2. Forking white's pieces one more time. The rook is under attack and that is why white will move the rook to f1 square. But now black can play queen takes e4 check. If white blocks a check with his queen, then he's gonna lose the queen. So therefore, most of the players block this check with their bishop. But that finishes off black's game quickly with knight f3, smothered checkmate. Here is a cool chess trick. Game starts with d4, f5. Well, that's a Dutch defense. Black has already weakened his king side diagonal, so white is gonna lay a trap to take advantage of this. So white here plays bishop to g5. Well, black feels very uncomfortable that this white bishop has entered his territory and is pinning this pawn to the black's queen. So he will play h6 in order to attack this bishop. But now you're gonna lay the trap by playing bishop to h4. Hey, it looks like that this bishop is gonna soon get trapped because black can now play g5 followed by f4 in order to trap this bishop. And black will exactly do that. He will play g5 attacking your bishop one more time. You'll play bishop to g3 and now f4 traps the bishop. But now here you will play the sneaky e3. The idea is that you're going to open this diagonal for this queen in order to checkmate this black king. If black is not careful here and gets greedy and captures the bishop, then he will get checkmated with queen h5. Let's go back. That is why most of the players here, instead of capturing this bishop, they will play the move h5. They will try to trap and attack this bishop via h4. Also, they are trying to protect this important h5 square via this rook over here so that the queen doesn't jump on the square. But white can now play bishop to d3, threatening to checkmate on the g6 square one more time. So the rook will move to h6 in order to protect the square. But now you can sacrifice and force a checkmate with queen takes h5 check. Rook is forced to capture the queen and now bishop g6 is a beautiful checkmate. If you are enjoying these chess tricks, then do like this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So here is another cool famous chess trick that you should know. So the game starts with e4, e5, knight f3 attacks the pawn, knight c6 defends it, and now bishop b5 attacking the knight. White attacks back the bishop with a6, bishop moves to a4, and now white defends the e5 pawn with the move d6. White attacks the center with d4 and black responds by attacking white's bishop. He plays b5, bishop moves to b3, and now knight takes pawn, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight. And a lot of white players here will think that they are getting an extra pawn over here and it's no harm to capture. So most players will capture this pawn over here. But by capturing this pawn, they have fallen into your trap. Because now you're gonna trap this bishop over here by first attacking this queen. So you're gonna play c5. c5 attacks the queen and also threatens to trap white's bishop with the move c4 in the next move. So the queen will move to d5. It is not only attacking this undefended rook over here, but also threatening to checkmate on the f7 square. You can block the checkmate threat with bishop e6. The queen is under attack, so she will move to c6 in order to check black's king. But now you can block the check with bishop d7. White's queen is under attack, so they will move to d5, threatening to checkmate one more time. But now you can simply block the check with the move c4. The bishop is now trapped and white is going to be down in material. Bishop takes pawn, pawn takes bishop, queen takes pawn, and black is up in material, and this should be an easy win for black. Here is another one. Game starts with e4 and black immediately attacks the center with d5. But here you will play knight to f3, luring black to capture this pawn over here with an attack on this knight. So black will most likely capture this pawn and now you move the knight to g5, attacking this pawn. Black will protect this pawn with knight to f6 and now you will play d3, attacking this pawn one more time. Since black's pawns are doubled on the e file and he wants to get rid of this pawn, he will most likely capture this d3 pawn over here. And you should capture back now with your bishop. And now two of your pieces are eyeing this weak h7 square over here. A lot of beginners here get very uncomfortable and that is why they play the move h6. Thinking that they have played a very good move by attacking this knight. But they are totally unaware that white can now play the shocking knight takes f7, forking black's pieces. If king takes knight, then bishop g6 check. King takes bishop and now queen takes queen, loses material for black. Here is an interesting one. The game starts with e4 and black plays knight to f6, attacking the pawn immediately. White pushes his pawn to e5 and attacks black's knight. Knight moves to d5. And now white plays knight to f3. It's a developing move. And now black attacks the overextended pawn with the move d6. But white now attacks black's knight with bishop to c4. Knight moves to b6, attacking white's bishop. And here white shocks the opponent with the bishop sacrifice because he plays bishop takes f7 check. If king takes bishop, then knight g5 check. King moves to g8 and now queen f3 threatening to checkmate on the f7 square. Queen moves to e8 in order to protect the square, but now white plays e6, attacking the square one more time. And here the best move for black is to play g6. But instead, a lot of beginners make the mistake of playing the move h6 because they are thinking they are just attacking the knight and asking him to retreat back. But white can now here play queen f7 check, queen takes queen, and now pawn takes queen is a checkmate. Do join the channel's membership program if you want to level up your skills in chess. Here is the last one. Game starts with e4, e5, f4. We are seeing the king's gambit. And now black plays d5 and enters the fork-bear counter gambit. E takes d5 and now black plays c6, offers another pawn. But instead of grabbing this pawn, white here plays queen to e2 in order to keep eyes on this black king. So black here plays c takes d5 and now white happily captures the e5 pawn with a check. And now black here lays a trap for white because he can now block the check with any of his pieces, right? But he chooses to block the check with his bishop and lures white's queen to capture this free pawn over here and thereby attacking this trapped rook. If white falls into the trap and captures this pawn, then his queen is gone because black can now attack white's queen with bishop f6. The only safe square available for the white queen is queen to g3 and now bishop h4 pins white's queen to the white's king. Queen takes bishop, queen takes queen check, and now white blocks the check with g3. And after these moves, black is up in material by 4 points and this should be an easy win for black. And here is the question of the day for you. Here it is black's turn to move, and what should black play? Should he capture the bishop over here or should he play knight to f6? Let me know your answers in the comments box and I'll see you in the next video.